What's up, you guys? It is time yet again for another installment of the Powered by Ice Cream Awards. Now, I believe this is the third year I've done this, and I have to say this is probably the least enthusiastic I've been to wrap up the year's ice cream. I find myself always having the same conversations at around September, October the last few years. It's been a down year for ice cream. I'll tell Kelsey, I'll tell my fellow ice cream fanatics, and I feel like, you know, it's just been the last few years have not been that great for the most part. You know, there's been a lot of heartbreak as of late in terms of ice cream. Some companies going different directions, some companies going away. So it's been, you know, a little inconsistent, but the last couple of years I ended up eating my words, and I ended up eating a lot of ice cream because things would just really pick up. It was almost overwhelming how much new stuff would come out in October or November, and I'd be inundated with new flavors to try, and it really picked up steam, and I'd have a lot of stuff to talk about here. And it would actually, last year and the year before that, it was hard to narrow down my top 5 ice creams. You know, in years past, I've done worst ice cream, I've done most improved company, things like that. We're not doing that this year. We're just doing a straight up ranking of my 5 favorite ice creams this year, and it was actually pretty easy to do. You know, I did change my rating scale recently, and it's a little stricter, a little harsher, but that's not why the rating was done. It just was not a good year for ice cream. 2018 was definitely a down year for ice cream. There was no upswing in the fall. I was waiting for that torrent of good stuff to come, and it just never did. Now, thankfully, it seems like the new year is already presenting us with a lot of cool stuff that I can't even talk about yet. But nevertheless, 2018 was not a great year for ice cream. Salt and straw. Let's talk about salt and straw for a moment. Salt and straw was always the reliable, most consistent option, and they are still the best ice cream company in the game, in my opinion. However, this year, they focused more on expanding their shops, which is great for them. Great. I'm so happy to see them succeeding. And with that, they also, I think, were more interested in pleasing their current fan base, myself included, while simultaneously trying to please newcomers. With that came a lot of retreads, a lot of flavors that were safe bets for sure. You know, I know they're good because I've had them, but I'm not going to order the same flavor again, bar a couple classic flavors. So I ended up skipping salt and straw a lot. I did have some good salt and straw flavors, and you know, as a matter of fact, salt and straw did make the top 5, of course. But I guarantee you that if I would have, you know, allowed re-scoops to be included on this list, there would be pretty much all salt and straw, because it was a great year. If you've never had salt and straw before, you got the chance to try a lot of great stuff. Ample Hills, another company, my number 2, was always reliable in terms of releases, but this year I think they're more focused on their national expansion, which has yet to be confirmed, but I feel like the writing is on the wall between the new factory and the fact that their pints have nutrition info. I remember when Jenny's first went from craft to national phenomenon, and the writing on the wall there was when they went from the hand-drawn. You guys remember that? If you're an ice cream OG, you remember this. They had pints, and they had like a Sharpie, and they'd write the flavors with Sharpie. Once you took it, and when I got that box, and I turned the pint around and had the nutritional info in the back, I knew they were going nationwide. So I think Ample Hills is going nationwide. With that comes the inability to produce a lot of new flavors. There were some bright spots, and one of their flavors, of course, ended up in my top 5 this year. But those two mainstays, those two great companies, kind of, I guess, coasted this year. Little G, who was really, Little G's ice cream had a lot of great flavors the year previous. I don't know what to say about that. You guys, you've heard the rumors. I don't know if they're true or not, but the fact remains that it's not here, and I don't think it's coming back. So we got to move forward, okay? Ben & Jerry's. Let's talk about Ben & Jerry's. Now, do not think that I have a great opinion of Ben & Jerry's products at this point. It is improved. From 2017, 2018, if we're talking most improved company, it's got to be Ben & Jerry's. And I'm not just saying that because they love me and they send me stuff all the time. And they fly me out to Brooklyn and feed me and stuff. I love you, Ben & Jerry's. I always have. But I'm going to be real with you. The truffles flavors, you know, I haven't rescooped them. You know, they weren't a great, in terms of technology, there's a lot cooler stuff coming online, which I cannot talk about, but those kind of fell flat. Some of the new fish flavor was okay. And you know what's funny though? Besides one of the flavors that's going to be on this list, I ate fish food this year more than any other ice cream. Pretty crazy, huh? But it was a flavor I used to sleep on. I used to group in with the old classics that weren't that great, like Cherry Garcia and Chunky Monkey. But it's a damn good flavor. And if you're sleeping on it, I highly suggest you do not. So that's pretty much my wrap up on the year. And there's not a lot to talk about. But there are some new companies popping up trying to fill that void that little G left. And there's a lot of new cool flavors that I cannot talk about that will be released this year by Ben & Jerry's just yet. Anyway, so we're gonna get into this list and give you the rundown, and then when I'm all done with this, I would love to hear your comments and your feedback, and I would love to hear your top 5. Like I said, I've been BSing enough. Let's get to this list. Number 5 ice cream of the year came from Magnum. This was the first year we had access here in America to the Magnum pints, and while they are a gimmick for sure, they are an absolutely delicious gimmick. Chocolate hazelnut flavor was my favorite of the initial lineup, and even with the new flavors they released in the last couple months, it's still my #1 Magnum flavor. It's chocolate hazelnut ice cream, so basically it's Nutella ice cream. There's milk chocolate shards in the ice cream, and of course there's that trademark shell of milk chocolate around it. The ice cream is delicious, the chocolate is delicious. There really is nothing to complain about there. It's a great flavor. I will say this though, I gave it a 10 out of 10 when I initially reviewed it. That's before I overhauled and got a little more hard when it comes to my, a little more strict when it comes to my rating. So it would not get a 10 out of 10 if I scooped it right now. It would get a 9 out of 10, and that this year was good enough to make this list. Number 4 is Market Pantry's Unicorn Magic. Now this is the first time, and probably the last time, a Market Pantry ice cream will ever grace my end of the year top 5, but it's just a special ice cream. Super premium it is not. It's a lighter ice cream. The quality isn't as great as the other stuff on this list, but man, it is a fun flavor. It is delicious. It's nostalgic, and kids love it. Cam is obsessed with it, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It's a lot like the Sour Patch Kids flavor that came out, which just barely missed cracking my top 5. It's been that kind of year, honestly. I want to reward innovation and you know, unique flavors just as much as I want to reward awesome, good tasting flavors when it comes to my top 5, because I really appreciate when companies try to be different. But it was a pink fruity ice cream. What fruit? I have no idea. With a sour blue raspberry swirl and glittery candy bits. It's really cool looking. It tastes really good. And if you can still find it at your Target, I don't know if they even still make it, you really need to go seek it out because it's good. Number 3 comes from Salt and Straw, Sticky Honey Croissant with French Vanilla. This one came from the Student Inventor series, which every year one of those kids cooks up something awesome. And this year was no different. It was a French vanilla ice cream with croissant pieces, and there was a honey swirl. There was so much honey. Croissant pieces somehow managed to not suffer any sort of textural weirdness. The flavor was just really, really, really good. And the French vanilla ice cream was bomb. It's the quality you expect out of Salt and Straw, and easily my favorite Salt and Straw flavor this year. Number 2, God Save the Cream from Ample Hills. As you guys probably know, I'm on Team Lemon. I love lemon, and there's so few lemon ice creams, good lemon ice cream. So I was excited when Ample Hills announced this flavor. It was a lemon ginger ice cream. Not a lot of ginger though, mostly lemon, and there were pieces of wedding cake in it. It was a nice tangy base. The cake pieces were awesome, and as a testament to how good it is, Kelsey, who is not on Team Lemon whatsoever, if anything, she's anti Team Anti-Lemon. She loved it. I mean, everybody loves cake and ice cream, and this was a really well executed flavor. And I hope they bring it back this year. And I did not get a chance to try Corn to Run. And a lot of you guys just said, what about Corn to Run? What about Corn to Run? I slept on it. If it comes back this year, I will not make the same mistake twice, I promise you. And last, but certainly not least, any of you guys who have talked with me about ice cream this year know what my number one is. And it was a flavor that I was really impressed with when I first had it, and it grew on me even more so. I mean, it was, I believe I gave it a 9 out of 10, but it's a 10 out of 10. It's not only, okay, the superlatives are coming. Let me just tell you, Glam Fire Trail Mix is my favorite ice cream of 2018. It was a chocolate ice cream with crunchy pretzel swirls, marshmallow swirls, and fudge-covered almonds. I was excited when the flavor was announced because the crunchy pretzel, that swirl, that was only used before, as far as I can remember, in my favorite Ben & Jerry's flavor of all time, candy bar pie. So I was really pumped to try it. It did not let me down one bit. It's like, it's got some of the best parts of other ice creams. It's got the marshmallow swirl that is in fish food that's really good. The fudge-covered almonds from, you know, like everything but I love chocolate-covered nuts and ice cream. And the crunchy pretzel swirls really set it off. And I loved it when I first tried it, but the more I ate it, the more I loved it. And I have not done a Ben & Jerry's ranking video in a long time, but I need to do a new one because Peanut Butter World, that was my jam for a long time. I went number one, and nobody really came close to dethroning it. But I gotta tell you guys, this is breaking news. Even though it's not around anymore, I guess it doesn't really count. But if you were asking me if to choose between Glam Fire Trail Mix and Peanut Butter World, I'm choosing Glam Fire. It was that good. So if you can still find some pints lying around at your Target, I highly suggest you get that in your life as soon as you can and just buy them all. Just buy them all. Unfortunately, it was limited batch. It might come back. It might not. If it doesn't, you know, it's another heartbreak. It's going to go right along with candy bar pie. So there it is, guys, my top 5 for 2018. I would love to hear your feedback. Hit me in the comments. Tell me your top 5 and tell me what you think about my list. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.